Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. We are just able to wait and observe for now. Familiar to 90 Day Fiancé viewers, Rob Warren never dreamed his life would turn into the kind of anarchy it is currently witnessing. Originally a passionate and deep romance with Sophie, what began as such has become a public nightmare involving law, heartache, and betrayal. Rob's rock of support through many of their relationship's difficulties, Sophie has gone to great lengths to file an infidelity allegation against him, which resulted in his unexpected arrest. Once a reality TV romance, today it is a very real and quite unpleasant controversy. Sophie's harsh and surprising charges against Rob were, after all, their turbulent relationship had already shown itself for the cameras, with TV showing millions of people moments both warm and tense. Though Rob's challenges with dedication and Sophie's emotional sensitivity had witnessed fans' ups and downs, few expected a cheating scandal would cause them to fall apart off-screen. Visibly startled yet determined, Sophie agreed to an exclusive interview where she shared her plan to file lawsuits. Sitting in her apartment clutching a cup of tea, she spoke honestly about the suffering that drove her decision. "I never wanted to do this," Sophie continued, her voice shaking with the weight of the words. "I thought we could work through everything together. Still, this is too much treachery. I find it impossible to overlook now. I lost my trust in the one person I considered to be dependable, not only a companion, not only for my peace of mind, but also for myself. I had to act." Sophie admitted she battled incredulity when she initially found out about the adultery. She wanted to pretend everything was good, disregard the warning signals. She couldn't lie longer, though, after several confrontations with Rob and bits of evidence suggesting his infidelity. "It was more than one thing." Red from crying, Sophie said, "It was the lies, the continual gaslighting, and the overwhelming sense that he was hiding something. I wanted to think he wouldn't harm me this way. I loved him. I knew I had to make it public, though, when it became abundantly evident that the truth would not reveal itself on its own." As Sophie thought back on the happy days they had spent, when their relationship had appeared like it may really be working, the agony in her eyes was clear. "I never would have imagined the man I wed treating me this way. I put everything in his hands. And now I feel like a fool," she replied in quiet but determined voice. Rob, on the other hand, was left to deal with Sophie's allegations' fallout. He sat alone himself in a tiny, chilly interrogation room following his detention, the truth of his circumstances gradually sinking in. The public show his life had become was starkly brought to mind by the flashing lights from the cameras outside the police station. Usually the cool-headed one, Rob felt himself shook when the detective arrived in the room. Having little compassion for the famous status Rob had once had, the investigator was a seasoned officer. "Rob, you are under major accusations here. Your spouse says you turned on her. This is not another reality TV controversy." Standing before him, the detective remarked sharply, "This is real." He crossed his arms. Rob brushed a hand through his pale face-painted hair. He shook his head in astonishment. His voice nearly begging, he added, "I didn't cheat. I promise you I did not cheat. Sure, things I regret, I have made mistakes. However, I did not do that." Leaning forward, the detective had a dubious look. Then, drawing on data Sophie had compiled, he said, "Then explain this." It seemed from the text messages, pictures, and phone records that there was infidelity. Rob sank his heart as he looked at the paperwork. "I never intended for any of this to transpire. Our relationship was disintegrating. I was struggling as Sophie was as well. I ran not sure what to do." The investigator felt nothing. Whether one struggles, cheating is still illegal. And you now have to deal with the results. Back in Sophie's flat, the damage was growing. The narrative had exploded on internet. Comments from supporters flooded social media, many of whom had followed Rob and Sophie's journey on the program. While some supported Sophie, others questioned the timing of her choice. Was it for retribution? Was it somewhat of a publicity stunt? Sophie turned endlessly over the sea of ideas, each post making her feel more and more alienated. Rob was losing, but so was the life they had created for the cameras and the supporters who used to applaud them. Still, Sophie was adamant even if the opinions of others weighed heavily on her. Seeking some solace, she grabbed the phone and phoned her best friend Rose. Rose responded right away, seeming worried. Sophie, I have been reading news. Are you okay? Sophie started to wipe away a tear. Rose, I'm not sure. I truly not. I never would have guessed it would get this severe. Though I felt I was strong enough to manage whatever came our way, now. It feels as though I no longer even know him. Just take it one day at a time. The truth will surface, hence right now you should be more self-centered. Whatever occurs, you have to act in your best interest, Rose said in a soft but forceful manner. Try not to let this break you. Sophie inhaled deeply, then stared at the mirror in her window. Though the circumstances weighed heavily, her mind was made up. She refused to let this treachery define her. The truth counted more today than any TV romance could, regardless of how much love she previously had for Rob. Rob was trying to shape the story, meanwhile. At a news conference, he appeared before a gathering of reporters. The strong lights blinded him while his attorney spoke on his behalf. Rob Warren disputes all claims of infidelity, the attorney said. We will battle to clear his name. We are sure the truth will come out. Rob's body language, meanwhile, contradicted his statements. With his hands at his sides, he stood rigidly and watched frantically across the room. Rob grabbed the microphone after the attorney concluded his remarks, his voice quivering as he answered the reporters personally. Though I realize I made mistakes, I did not cheat. I swear on everything I hold dear that I never deceived Sophie like that, he said, desperate eyes. I'm not sure what transpired between us, but it wasn't what she said. I never wanted this, none of this. Rob tried to defend himself, but the press conference did not help to relax the situation. The people started to doubt the genuineness of his comments the more he said. The claims made by Sophie, together with the mounting data, presented a negative image. With every day that went by, it seemed as though the truth was eluding Rob more and more. By contrast, Sophie came at a crossroads. Thinking about what to do next, she stood in front of the mirror in her apartment. Now she was fighting for her own sense of self-worth, not only for her marriage. Though she had been betrayed, humiliated, and broken, the lady in the mirror refused to let it define her. I have been trying to make this work for so long, Sophie said to herself. But I cannot continue to live in his shadow. I am entitled more than this. One thing was clear. Sophie was done. The evidence still disagreed, and the truth remained unknown. She was ready to leave the marriage that had seemed to be the fairy tale of a lifetime. Now left alone to deal with the consequences of his actions, Rob understood he might have lost everything. His wife, his reputation, the future they had intended together. It became abundantly evident as the narrative progressed that Rob nor Sophie had any idea what the next chapter would contain. Their former together was now a memory, and both of them were left to negotiate a future they never expected with a past that would follow them always. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.